Welcome to Apaga University. I'm Inga.
And I'm Julie. We are two
momtrepreneurs
who have built an in-home care business from the ground up, guided every step of the way by God's care and fueled by agape love.
16 years later and over 100 podcast episodes already under our belts, we invite you to continue on this journey with us as we share stories that resonate, insights that inspire, and practical guidance that empowers you to face any obstacle along this path.
Whether you're a professional caregiver, a family member, or are simply curious about what your steps will be when you need them, you have come to the right place.
Oh, hey, and while you're here, make sure you hit that subscribe button.
And after that, make sure you send this to a friend.
Yes, do it. All right, we'll quit fooling around and get to it.
Let's go. Class is in session.
Hello, Sunshine, and hello, Julie.
Well, hello, Inga.
Your hair is looking really good.
Oh, thanks.
You pulled it up.
I did.
Got a perm.
Yes, I did.
You got some permanent Rust-Oleum.
Permanent waves.
And a permanent.
Yes.
That's what it's called, right? A perm?
Yes.
Short for a permanent?
I would think so. They're not, though. It takes about a year, and I have to do it again. So
they're not, though. I don't know any other person in the world whose perm would last them a year.
Mine was unbelievable this year. Really very good.
She did a great job.
Yeah.
I like it. Looking good. Looking sharp there, Jules.
Right?
Yep.
I know.
So what else is new? Happy to be back at the table podcasting.
Here we are. Yes. And you?
Yeah. We have one sheep left to go.
Is all?
One ewe left to go.
Oh, yep. Dude, I just started. So we're at opposite ends here.
Which is kind of cool because we probably shouldn't be both
gone at the
crazy
same time.
at the same time.
Yeah, that's a bad idea.
It's kind of like, we never want to you and me both be mad at the same person at the same time.
They would be asking for it.
That would be really
unfortunate for them.
I feel like we're pretty low key for the most part, but every now and again.
Sometimes we get fired up.
Yep.
Yeah.
You don't want to be around for that.
You don't want to be on the receiving end of that.
What the heck did Bailey say to me the other day? I think I got a, what is the word? The call where you get telemarketer call. God, did I turn 80 overnight?
No, within 5 seconds.
This day has been a struggle. Anyway, no, getting a telemarketer call and Bailey's like, I wouldn't want to have to talk to you if I were one of those guys. I'm like,
you didn't buy their stuff?
No, and I probably shamed them in some way. No, not really. It's not the telemarketers that I try to be nice to them because I know they're just doing their job, but it's the scam ones. That I'm
that's really...
Yeah, no, how do you sleep at night?
Right.
How did we get here in this
scumbag.
conversation? I don't know. You might have to test me.
Squirrel.
I think something's going wrong.
Squirrel.
Anyway, so shall we verse?
We shall verse.
Okay, we shall verse. So this is Psalm 91, verses 1 and 2. And it says, whoever goes to the Lord for safety, whoever remains under the protection of the Almighty can say to him, you are my defender and protector. You are my God. In you I trust.
That's a good one.
I do. I sure do.
Yeah, that's a dandy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So today we're going to actually be talking about safety in a particular scenario, which is when we're driving. And so I was like, let's see what the Bible says about safety.
Isn't there a saint that is supposed to be the...
Is that the Saint Christopher?
Yeah, of travel or something like that?
Could be. I could be way wrong too.
I could also be. Probably am.
But I know what you're talking about.
Okay, cool. Well,
Not
at least
specifically
we know what we're
in
talking
general.
about to each other.
Yeah. It makes no sense to anybody else, but
Yeah. What's your story?
Okay. So since we're going to be talking about safety during driving and different scenarios you can get yourself into, I actually found some ridiculous ways people have failed their driving tests.
Oh, boy.
I had no idea what a 3-point turn is, so I just drove in a circle 3 times. Fail.
That's funny.
I took my flip-flops off for the driving test, which is how I was used to driving. She failed me on the spot because apparently that's illegal.
True story.
Fail. I got into a car and began sobbing out of nervousness. The instructor eventually just got out in the driver's seat with me still sobbing and drove me back to my mother.
Can you imagine being that poor instructor?
Poor baby, so nervous.
Oh.
My mom attempted to put the instructor's knee in reverse. Can you imagine going to grab? Oopsie poopsie. My friend hit a curb, and some people say if you hit a curb, you automatically fail. So she turned to the instructor and asked, does this mean I fail? He just said, oh, that doesn't matter. You already failed because the emergency brake is still on.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Don't worry about that one.
Yeah. Those are the minor
flunked.
things, but yeah, those were pretty epic. There was a ton more, but those were the funniest things. I thought they were the funniest.
That's funny. I love it. Well, I am bringing Live by the Rules for Success. And this is actually from Pat Summitt, who was a long time and like legendary coach of the Tennessee Volunteers women's basketball team.
Okay.
So she calls them the definite dozen. These are the rules that you are to live by to make you successful.
Okay.
Respect yourself and others. Take full responsibility. Develop and demonstrate loyalty. Learn to be a great communicator. Discipline yourself so no one else has to.
Ooh.
Make hard work your passion. Don't just work hard, work smart. Put the team before yourself. Make winning an attitude. Be a competitor. Change is a must. And handle success like you handle failure. Yeah, just do all those things.
Wow.
Pretty cool, comprehensive list, huh?
Yeah, it nails all of it.
Yeah, and she's the pretty winningest coach.
Yeah. Huh. I can see where as society, some of those we just have really, really started not striving for. But
yeah,
those would make you a pretty wholesome person.
I think so. I think, and they're, if you really just kind of think about them, not that tough to do.
Just respect yourself and others.
Yeah, exactly.
Be kind.
Yep. Take responsibility.
That is awesome.
Cool. Be loyal.
Love it.
Yeah. Anyway, so there you have it.
There you go.
It doesn't.
Now I know how to be a good person.
Perfect.
Thank you, Inga.
Yes. You can have success at life now.
Oh, why didn't I talk to you when I was 18?
Oh, did you have a little struggle then?
Oh, everybody.
As 18-year-olds will do.
That was a fun wall to hit. Oopsie poopsie.
Oh, how many times did you hit it?
Yeah, right. Well, that's not where this podcast is going.
Oh, right. Okay,
yes.
So we digress. Safety, driving safety, travel safety.
Yes. So basically, it's unsettling to recognize that women are more likely to be attacked when driving alone. So we have come up with ways to be safe. And we're not talking about just women in general. We're talking about everybody.
Sure.
And then we're also going to talk about elderly driving. So we're pulling that all together.
Right.
But the reason that we're having this podcast is because literally just a short time ago, I had a caregiver call me and she goes, oh my gosh, I just had the scariest thing happen. And it really bothered me. And as she's talking it through, I was like, oh, this is a great podcast because we take things for granted.
Sure.
So what she was doing is she was on her way home and she lives more rural. And she was going down a side country road, and all of a sudden this vehicle stops her, and there was at least 4 or 5 guys in this car. Ooh. And her first initial was to just kind of roll down and go, hey, can I help you? And then she just felt the hair on the back of her neck. And so she put the window back up and talked to them through the window. And they claimed to be looking for some side jobs for farming. And she was like, I don't think they were. I'm kind of feeling that it was more of a case job. Oh. And so anyway, she's like, I'm sorry, I can't help you. And she got out of there as quick as she could. She had locked the doors, rolled the window up really quick. And then she did not go straight to her house.
Smart.
She drove a different way just in case they were following her. And so that was really, really scary for her. And like I said, when I was talking to her, I was like, this is a huge reminder to people. You're not in Mayberry anywhere. Right. And unfortunately, you have to really be cautious. Even you were saying the other day, a while ago that, quite often we see women just walking down the country road by themselves. I know.
Every time I see.
If they've got their earplugs in or, whatever, and they're just listening to the music going, anything can happen.
I know. I'm like, please don't do that. Don't do that because you're a true crime episode waiting to happen.
Yeah. Take your dog with you, just whatever.
Something. Even, do you remember not that long ago, I was at the grocery store and I got this really weird feeling going into the grocery store.
Yep.
And then I got this really weird feeling coming out. And I ran into one of our life coaches. And she's just the cutest, littlest, just amazing human being. She was my bodyguard. I was like, can I walk out with you? Because I do
That
not
was
feel good
smart.
about this. And there were a couple of men in a truck. And basically, so I walked with her. She then ended up walking me over to my car. She went back to her car and she watched. And she said that after I pulled out, they like followed me out of the parking lot.
Yeek.
So yeah, it was very interesting, and maybe it was nothing, but part of what I think we're going to talk about is just that paying attention to your surroundings.
You had a gut feeling.
Yep, absolutely.
And that was scary. A couple weeks ago, also, my daughter out of town was jogging.
Oh, that's right.
And she literally had a car follow her down the middle of the road. I mean, it was 2:00 in the afternoon and they were so brazen that they followed her. So she was able to literally, once again, find a different way to go home. And so that and went through an alley, so they lost her, but she was able to get home safe and sound. And later she was telling her boyfriend about that. And he goes, "Did you call the cops?" And she goes, "No, it wasn't really an emergency." So he goes, "Call the cops."
Right.
So she called them on the non-emergent line and said, "Hey, I need to tell you about what happened to me." And she goes, "I know where they live because I've seen that car." And they said, "Is it on this street in this blue house?" And she said, "It is." And they said, "We're so glad you called. We're building a case against these people."
Wow.
And that was scary that happened to my very own daughter.
Yes.
So that again was just in a smaller town.
So it makes me think, sorry. Do you remember when I went to Oregon 2 Mays ago, I think? Took my grandma and my mom to see Aunt Ginny and Uncle Mac. And Uncle Mac is he is the best tour guide ever. But he's got this old box van, kind of what I would refer to as a creeper van. So we're in this creeper van and they're driving me around through neighborhoods, telling me about different things. And then he's got the window down, he's talking to people. And all I'm thinking inside of my head is everyone that's watching this go down thinks that we're casing the neighborhood and we're human trafficking and we're trying to lure people into this van. So he's like, "We've got to get out of here. We've got to get out of here." No, we just kept on going. Like, eventually we're going to get pulled over. Somebody is going to call us in. It was and he was just, the most harmless individual ever. But the way that it looked, probably looked like we were looking to
that's
kidnap
funny. Well,
somebody.
and people are more prone nowadays to call things in.
Yes.
Which you have to. What they talk about? Neighborhood
watch.
Yeah. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, if you don't call it in,
that
and
would
then
have been
something
funny
happened.
if you would have been.
Well, my mom was telling me, I'm pretty sure, I can't remember if it's Facebook or Google. I think it might be Google. But anyway, where they live, there's a big computer something or other where they store and house a lot of servers and everything. Well, it's all gated and fenced. So I don't know if it was the year previous or a couple years before that. Uncle Mac had taken them on a tour of the Google site. I think it's Google. Anyway, so basically they're again in the creeper van, and it looks like they're just stalking or casing this place. So security actually came out. They were on the outside of it, but security comes, and then security's kind of trailing with them. Like, "We're watching you." And all Uncle Mac wants to do is just give a good tour of his city because he's so proud.
So cute.
Yeah.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
great.
Yeah.
It's
You really could have messed with them and going, "Help me."
Okay, one more story, and then we'll get back to the real stuff. Remember our friend Megan that used to live here? Shows she has little baby Cole.
Yep.
So she moved to Oklahoma, and when baby Cole was probably like 2, maybe, I think she was driving back to Montana, try to make it in one trip because she's a maniac.
Yeah.
Well, stopped at a gas station somewhere. And mind you, this little guy has been in the car for a long time. So I'm sure he's had enough of it.
Oh, no.
So basically they do their thing. She's putting him back in the seat and he's just yelling, "Help me.
Oh,
Help
no.
me."
Oh, no.
Megan's like, "Oh my God, someone is going to think I'm kidnapping this kid."
Oh, no.
Yeah. Anyway, it all turned out fine, but... And baby Cole is not baby Cole anymore.
Oh, last time I saw him, I couldn't believe how much
I know.
he had
He's
grown.
so tall and so grown up.
Cute.
But anyway, yeah. So help me.
Yeah.
You could cause a lot of trouble
Funny,
trying
not
to be
funny. Funny, not funny.
Yeah. So basically, I think we should just talk about some tips for if you are driving alone. And I mean, it says female, but this goes for any and everybody, really. Yeah. You just need to be wary, be aware. Use technology. So like I take this as if you're going somewhere, set your GPS or
So you
whatever,
know where you're
so you know
going.
where you're going.
Yeah.
If you are, crossing, always be careful when you're crossing vehicles. And if you're taking a long drive, make sure that you get some relaxation, right? You don't want to just drive continually because you'll tire out, you'll wear out.
Right.
So stop and smell the roses a little bit.
Right.
Always keep your valuables protected. Like, don't leave things out in plain view for everyone to be able to see and maybe think, ooh,
yeah.
that.
The other day I had a couple of ones and I was doing whatever with them. And then I just set them in the console.
Yep.
And my husband was like, put those away. Don't leave those hanging out.
I know that me doing that, something similar to that, cost me my entire purse when we were the turkeys.
Yep.
We had done a turkey drive here and we were delivering them to the food bank. We're in the parking lot of the food bank, but I had some cash just sitting in the console or whatever. We go inside, come back out. That cash is gone. My purse is gone.
And that took
in the matter
all of 15 seconds.
Yep.
It was that fast.
So yes, put those things away so that it's not even, somebody doesn't even get the idea that there might be something there.
Right.
Keep research your route before you leave. So yeah, it's important to know where you're going. Keep your vehicle in good condition. Have emergency items in your car. So again, we can always think, the younger kids can be like, oh, you worry about stuff you shouldn't worry about, but you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So have those emergency items available in your car.
So just this weekend, Callie was driving from Arizona to Montana, and I knew that there was, especially through Idaho, especially some icky weather. And so I'm like, okay, on the map, this is the last place that I see you can stop, fill up, grab some waters, grab some snacks, and just have it for you just in case you get stopped or something. And because the next big town with gas is several hundred miles away. And of course, Mom.
What do you know, Mom?
Yeah.
Well, and also keeping your vehicle in good condition. So she's making this huge trip back from Arizona to Montana, right? So you had her go through and make sure.
We went to a place where they did an oil check. They checked her tires. They did a couple other things, and thankfully the car made it home because we do have a few things to fix, but we wanted to do it with our regular mechanic. But anyway, we totally did an all-point inspection because I was very nervous. Even though she had a friend driving with her, she wasn't alone. She has done that trek before alone, and that's where I was nervous the whole time.
Sure.
But even with this, I was just like, we've got to be responsible and have a safe vehicle.
Yeah. Set yourself up for success, not failure, by making sure that if you're going a long way.
Right.
Yeah. And then they say basically try to stay on the main roads as much as possible, which makes sense. In Montana, in rural areas, it's a little bit different. And I know that at times when we travel showing sheep, you're always kind of looking for something a little bit different. So sometimes we go a little off the beaten path, but nothing crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I about got us lost this weekend when my husband and I were trying to go through the back roads over this one pass. And I took the first road. I should have taken the second road. And we went halfway up and I was like, this isn't the road I've been on before. But I'm sure that it loops around. But I went ahead and turned around and got back on the path that I then remembered because I was like, I'm not 150% sure. There's a ranch coming up here. I don't want him to meet me and say, who the heck are you? Get off my, you're trespassing or whatever. So just decided, I've gone far enough to know I'm not in the right place.
Yes.
So I backtracked and then did my thing.
I have a little anecdote or situation scenario on GPS though. So we have a client that lives way off the beaten path, and our nurse was actually going to do a home visit with him a week or two ago. And he was telling me, make sure she follows my directions. Make sure she follows my directions. He's like, I've never had anyone get lost if they follow my directions. If they go on GPS, they're going to get lost.
Yeah.
So she had his directions. She had GPS loaded. She followed his directions. And then when she got back to the office, she's like, it was a really good thing I followed his directions because GPS would have taken me not where I needed to be.
Yeah.
So be a little careful about that. And even like at our house, we have a shared driveway. And if you MapQuest or GPS or whatever to our house, it'll take you to one side of the property, which does not allow you to get into where you need to be able to be. So we have to tell people okay, but actually navigate to this address instead of ours, because that'll get you to the shared driveway.
Oh, good Lord.
Sometimes there are little quirks about it, but
yeah. The other thing that I liked when you had the nurse was doing that home visit was that we also knew she was going off-road and off service area for cell phones.
Yes.
So you were very good to say, I want you to check in with me.
Right.
And then when you get back into cell service, call us and just let us know you're safe.
Yep.
We did know where she was going, and we had been there before, so we were comfortable with that. It was just a matter of finding it.
Yeah.
For
Well,
a
and
new
with the
person.
weather and different things like that. Very much so. So, and she was great. She did exactly what she needed to, and checked in with us, and we knew that everything was spot on.
Spot on.
Be careful when you're parking.
Oh,
this is so important.
Big deal.
Do you think about it when you, like, anytime I go to the grocery, anywhere, really?
Yeah.
Like, I try to park next to a vehicle that doesn't look like I'm going to get out of mine and get immediately snatched into theirs.
Snatched.
Or
yeah, I actually think more about my truck. I don't want it to get doored. But that is true. If you're shopping at night for whatever reason, get under the light.
Yep.
Have somebody walk you out.
Yep.
But if you park next to like a van with a slidey door, you're asking for it.
I know. And I also try not to park next to, if somebody's in a vehicle and maybe I don't know. I don't want to be unfair about saying, oh, somebody looked suspicious, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I try to be very, very careful about that. And I can't remember if I've told the story on here before or not, but several years ago, I took Bailey to that judging camp at Oklahoma State University and met a lady that was, I think she was from Virginia, or no, she might've been South Dakota. Anyway, there was a group of like chaperones, adult chaperones. She was telling the story about that she had been at the mall wherever she lived, was coming outside. Her car was kind of parked in a darker area. And basically she just got this really, really, really bad feeling. And then she saw that someone was walking, like pacing her. Well, she saw other people that looked like not scary. So she kind of veered off and went and started just talking to them as though, oh, like, hey, how are you? It's so great to see you. Kind of bought herself some time and then looked up, and that person had gone to a vehicle, shut the trunk, got in. Yeah. She was like, it would have been the end of me. Yeah. That stuff is so scary. You have to pay attention to it.
Oh,
have to. I don't like parking garages at nighttime.
Those are so scary, even in the day.
Yeah. If you are in one of those big parking garage situations or whatever, pay attention to where you parked.
Oh,
They usually are pretty good about labeling or somehow putting signage up so that you're in like section C1 or whatever that looks like.
Yep.
But yeah, pay close attention because, and then also something else that I've seen recently. Things where people will put, they'll like crack eggs on your windshield, or they'll put money under your windshield wipers because they're trying to get you to get back out of the vehicle.
Yes, I have heard that. Yeah, because the first thing you get in and you look, you go, oh, something's on my windshield wiper,
right? And
they want you to get out, so you're distracted with that.
Like the eggs, you'll go to wipe it off, and then it just makes it worse on there. And so it's a scary world out there. So just 99.9% of it is really, really paying close attention to your surroundings. Keep your doors locked.
Always.
I do.
Oh my gosh. So in the college town where my daughter was going, I had always said, lock your doors, lock your doors, lock your doors. And she thought I was a real nag. But there was one time that it was later at night and she had to run to wherever, Target or whatever. And as she was at the light, a guy ran up to her and tried to get in. And thankfully she called me and she goes, Mom, I had the scariest thing just happen. And he just ran out of the darkness because she was stopped at the light there, pulled on her door. And she said, thank goodness I listened to you. She said, I finally listened to you for once and it saved me. And I was like, what are you talking about? And so
it's wild.
That was so scary. Yeah. Can you imagine? You're just sitting there, not really, and you're just driving and all of a sudden, boom. But she was rattled.
Yeah.
It was icky.
Yeah. Thankfully, I think a lot of newer vehicles have an automatic lock feature on them. But even like, I know mine, say when I leave the office here at night, sometimes it's just, I don't know. It's just not my house in the country. So it's just a little more nerve wracking. But anyway, when I first get it doesn't automatically lock when I first get into my truck. It's not until I put it into gear to go. Right. Well, so I get in and immediately just lock the door.
Yeah. That's a good practice.
Yep.
Yep. Make sure your cell phone is charged.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Speaking of children, keep that thing charged because there will be a time that you needed it.
You know what else I was thinking about the other day? Okay, when we drive, I always set my cell phone. I always set it just in the console next to me. But then I'm like, well, what if I ever got into an accident and it flings out of the console and then it's no longer in my reach? So because I've started wearing a vest every day, now I'm putting it in my pocket on my person in the vehicle.
That's really good.
Yeah, because I mean, what happens? You have a wreck and then
I've turned a corner.
There it
and
goes.
it was flying. I was like, oopsie. Was that a sharp
Maybe
corner?
that was a little too fast.
Sharp, fast corner. Yeah.
Have someone track your route. I think it's just a matter of basically making sure that somebody knows where you are.
Where you are.
I know that, some people have probably different thought processes on Life 360 or those tracking type things. But like as a family for us, we have them on not to check up on each other, but just to be able to know like, hey, if somebody doesn't show up when they're supposed to show up,
start checking.
And we can't get a hold of them, at least we can look and see, okay, where were they last at or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that stuff is important.
So
for sure.
important. When Callie was living down in Arizona, that's a long ways from home.
Oh, yeah.
And it was scary. It was scary. And being young like she is, she didn't think it was always necessary to check in with mother. And there would be a few times that I'd let it go because I'm like, don't be that mom. But then I would finally text her and go, hello, do you need to check in with your mother today?
No.
Yeah. Well, at least then she did. So then I was okay with it.
There you go.
Oh.
Drive safely and responsibly. So when you take those corners that fling your cell phone,
I know.
Slow down a little. No.
Yeah.
Don't pick up hitchhikers.
Oh.
It's such a hard thing. Like, because I know we all want to help everybody always, right? But it's just a good safety tip.
You've all heard
the horror stories.
Yeah.
Texting and driving is an absolute no.
Yeah.
So some people I know of some kids that will actually turn notifications off when they're driving, so they're not even tempted to respond to something or put the phone somewhere that they can't reach it. But then again, get in a wreck, then you're in that problem. But just don't do it. That's the bottom line. Don't do it.
One of our caregivers, if I text her, I'll get a text back. I'm driving my Ford Focus right now and cannot respond.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, she shuts me down right then. I'm like, oh, well.
It's probably just that auto response
it's an
on
auto
it, right?
thing. Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Let somebody know where you're going and have a plan for if you do break down. Again, this is all those thinking ahead things and emergency things.
Yeah. Trust your gut, like we've been talking.
Yes.
No self-defense tactics.
On my keychain, well, we've got a couple things going on. You got us those birdies, and then also I've got just the pepper spray on my keychain. So, like, if I leave the office at night by myself, or even if I'm like at a store or something, walking out into the parking lot at nighttime, I just always have it in my hand, ready to be able to, spring into action if I need to.
Yes. Awesome.
I'm very concerned that someone is going to try to kidnap me.
I'm
very
not
concerned.
I am not, but I should be a little bit more. Yeah. So basically they do say that, once again, all studies show that if you're going to ever be attacked, it is usually with a lone female. So
right.
Do that. Tips for the older adults to drive safely. We've talked about this in different episodes, but just make sure, once again, that everybody knows where you're going. Make sure that you're healthy enough for that and take all of the things that we've talked about and apply them to yourself as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Be alert.
Be alert.
Stay alive.
There we go.
Cool.
Yeah.
What are you leaving us with today?
Some more comments made in the year 1957. There was a whole bunch of them. It won't be long before young couples are going to have to hire someone to watch your kids so they can both work.
Yep, I think we're there.
Yep. Marriage doesn't mean a thing anymore. Those Hollywood stars seem to be getting divorced at the drop of a hat. I'm just afraid that the Volkswagen car is going to open the door to a lot of foreign business. Thank goodness I wouldn't live to see the day when the government takes half our income in taxes. I sometimes wonder if we are electing the best people to Congress.
I think we all wonder every day.
Oh boy. The drive-in restaurant is convenient in nice weather, and I seriously doubt they will ever catch on. There is no sense going to Lincoln or Omaha anymore for a weekend. It costs nearly $15 a night to stay in a hotel.
Gosh, we're headed there.
Oh,
We're headed there for a lamb sale.
You're right.
We'll be
And it
staying
was-
in Lincoln, Nebraska,
and
I
it's
guarantee
way
it's
more than $15. Oh, and the last one. No one can afford to be sick anymore. $35 a day in the hospital is just too rich for my blood.
Yeah, I wish it only cost
You
$35
can't
a
even
day to exist.
The door opens and it's $35.
I know. I open my eyes in the morning and I've already spent $35. Seems like. Well, anyway, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. You can do that anywhere you listen to podcasts. And if you have stories, good news stories or verses, anything you want to share with us, please do that. You can email julie@ipagahomecare.com or inga@ipagahomecare.com.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's it, man.
I
Peace
love
out,
it.
Girl Scouts.
Have a good day.
The caregiven name is a registered trademark of the Veritrust Health Incorporated Company. IPAGA is not connected to, affiliated with, or endorsed by Veritrust or any of its affiliates.